Epilogues, extras and epilogues. Open the theater. Lights, cameras, action. Movies and reviews, things you might not have known. What happens when the credits roll? Let's get on with the show.
A ragtag collection of high school and junior high students leave school for the summer and look forward to the future. In May 1976, they're 1 year away from Star Wars. You just gotta hang in there.
So close.
Jewish kid that got beat up at the party, hang in there. You're just a year away. You're just a year away from Star Wars. Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. This is Extras and Epilogues on the Podzilla 1985 network. The theater is open once again. My name is Shannon Young. I'm going to be your host, and tonight we continue our back-to-school month with a cult, well, not a cult, I guess cult classic, right? Not a classic. It's a cult classic. Yeah.
It's a cult classic.
It's Dazed and Confused. We've been hearing about this for a long, long time. We've never watched it before. We finally got to watch it today. And
I've seen it.
Oh, you had seen it?
I've seen it several times.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, I thought it was just me. I thought it was both of us. Okay. My apologies.
No, I've seen this movie a couple times.
This may go rough. Let's see what happens. Let's just see what the hell happens. With me tonight, of course, is the man who's seen this film. It's Double H.
Shannon, all I'm saying is if I ever start referring to these as the best years of my life, remind me to kill myself.
Man. Yeah, I want to preface this by saying that once again, 90% of this film is not what I experienced growing up. I think this is a very
okay. It's not what either of us experienced growing up.
but for me, like, there were kids that hung out and smoked pot, and there were kids that were definitely like creeping on the girls and getting the yada yada. My problem was that I was a loser and no one liked me in school, and I got in fights and I got pulled out into homeschool, so I didn't really have a high school life other than fights and being made fun of. Also, that was my experience.
This is a period piece.
Yes,
this
the 70s.
movie takes place years before either of us are even born, so it's
Many
not
years.
going to be the same experience. Very different.
No,
it's very different.
No, so it's, I think in a film like this, half of it is trying to relate to the characters in movies like this, and trying to find a character that you can relate to. I'll save it for the cast, but there were a couple pleasant surprises and not so pleasant surprises. And there wasn't any particular person I disliked, which is unusual. I can usually find one person to zone in on and go, oh, I can't stand this character. Bender.
O'Banion.
Nah, he didn't really bother me as much, and he's the only one that got any comeuppance. So I can't really complain about that too much.
That's kind of the right thing, though. He's the one who should bother you. He's the antagonist, or he's an antagonist anyway. He's really the only one who regularly plays that role.
He is the antagonist, I would say, yeah, because the rest of the movie just kind of happens. It's scene to scene. There is a narrative that they're heading towards, sort of, but it's very laid back. It's a very laid back film. We're going to talk about that here tonight as we continue our back to school. Last week we did Lean on Me.
You got it.
And then Pretty in Pink, and then we did my pick, which was Zombies and Monsters. We're a far cry from that in this movie, although there's some pretty good discussion about aliens. Let's talk about Dazed and Confused. Mm-hmm. Released September 24th, 1993, which I was 11, so I'd never heard of this damn film until college. I'd never heard of this movie.
I don't think I had either, honestly. It wasn't until around college that I heard of it. I watched it for the first time, and then I found out years later my dad loves it because my dad grew up in and around this kind of thing.
This movie did relate to him.
It would be right on. So he was born in 1957. So, he would have been 19 at the age that these guys are, or he would have been at that age at the time the movie was taking place. So, pretty close. He's, because I recall distinctly having conversations with him, and he's like, a lot of this is pretty accurate to certain experiences. Yeah.
Hell of a lot nicer than where I grew up. It wasn't. The only part of this movie that I could really relate to, and I said 90% I couldn't relate to, the 10% I could relate to is there were girls that went to my high school. I remember that. And Bob and Chad really like to go out there and like rip people's mailboxes up and throw them away for no reason. So when they started smashing the mailboxes, I was like, yeah, I've been down this road. I never did it myself. I didn't find it entertaining then. It's different when it's in a movie, but it's still kind of dickish. But it's a film. What are we talking about here? It's written and directed by Richard Linklater, who also did Slacker, which I've never seen, School of Rock, which I've never seen, and Scanner Darkly, which I've never seen. I guess I've just never seen anything this man's made.
Linklater's he's kind of a weird director in that regard, because School of Rock is so drastically different from everything else that we're talking about here. It's more of a commercial movie. I mean, it's a really good movie, and I do think we should do it for this month sometime. I've only seen it a couple times myself, but it's a Jack Black vehicle.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's pretty heavily commercialized. Whereas this movie, Slacker, they've always been kind of behind the scenes kind of cult hits. Linklater has this thing of this he likes to film like slice of life type stuff. I wouldn't call it experimental. I think that's going way too far. But it is very grounded. And then A Scanner Darkly actually is pretty drastically different, because I'm pretty sure it's fairly heavy sci-fi.
It is. So, it's Keanu Reeves, right? If I remember correctly.
I think so. Yeah, and he's kind of all over the place. But this is if I had to guess, other than School of Rock, this is probably the one that kind of his name gets attached to most often.
Yeah, because I didn't know he did Scanner Darkly. I've never seen Scanner Darkly, but I've seen bits and pieces of it. I know it because it's that one that's like, unless I'm crazy, it's like the rotoscope sci-fi film, right? Like where it's got that weird filter over everybody.
I think so. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that's what it is. Yep.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. I need to check that out sometime. I always heard it was good. But starring, and boy, this may be one of the best casts I've ever assembled for a film we've reviewed. It's a real treat. Jason London, who we skewered in Mallrats, much better in this film. Much better in this film.
Yeah. It's a very weird contrast to know that those were happening at roughly the same time, like within a couple of years from each other. Yeah. And if I recall correctly, Mallrats came afterward. What happened?
I can only blame the directing and the writing of Kevin Smith on that one, because I think Jason London, I've seen him in other things, and I've liked him before. Yeah. He was very likable in this, except for one part, that one bad part, but otherwise he's extremely likable. So I think it was, I can only blame Kevin Smith for that. He's very good in this one. Wiley Wiggins, who played, if I remember correctly, he played this little dude, brother man.
He's Mitch.
Yeah.
Yep. Brother man. Yeah, he's Mitch Kramer.
Matthew McConaughey, who is both the coolest dude in this movie and an actual predator.
Yeah. Yes. Very much so.
It's funny because people always talk about how cool Matthew McConaughey is in this movie, and he is. He's very nice and all that.
Oh, absolutely.
But the dude's just bragging on banging underage girls. Like,
yes, I mean, this is literally, we make this joke all the time because we love the sketch, but this is the epitome of it was the 70s. Like, the movie very much leans on the fact that you're like, this is a horrible thing, but at the time, nobody thought that way, or not enough people thought that way anyway, and so, yeah. He is, like you said, simultaneously the coolest guy in the movie and also the most problematic. Yes,
he is the one most likely to definitely go to jail at some point. He's getting some girl pregnant, or he's gonna have a baby mama at 14, and he's gonna be 20 something. This was also his first film, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Literally,
first, feature-length film.
If I remember the story correctly, and help me out here, he was at a bar because his friend worked at the bar, ran the bar, and so he got discounts. He was led on to the fact that there was like a producer there, and he just literally said, I'm going to go talk to him. Walked over, talked to him, movie star. That's all it takes.
Yep.
That's all it takes.
That's it.
And you have to be Matthew McConaughey.
Why are you people listening to the show? Get out there and become movie stars.
What
are you doing? Just do it right now.
You could be a movie star right
now.
now.
The bars are open. Bars are open.
We could be reviewing your film next week.
Exactly. Why are you here?
Why are you here? Anyway. Joey Lauren Adams, who I do love Joey Lauren Adams.
I know you do.
There's too many characters in this movie. Not in the sense that you're going to forget who they are, because I never forgot who anyone was. There was never a point where I was like, wait, who's that? But there's too many characters in this movie. Not many people get a chance to shine. Joey Lauren Adams is there to be girlfriend, and then to be cheated on by boyfriend for no reason. just a random hookup in the woods briefly until she goes, I thought you had a girlfriend. And he goes, yeah, better stop feeling on you. I didn't get that part, but
he doesn't say that.
Young love, I guess.
I think the whole thing is that's part of the point, is that this is the kind of random shit that happens to high school kids.
Yeah,
that they get themselves into. I mean, it's quite literally that.
Did you? And I'm not. And this is not me antagonizing. I need you to understand that this is a legitimate question, because I know you're big on. Character growth, etc., etc. Did Jason London frustrate you in any way, that he kind of throws his future away to hang out with his pothead friends? He cheats on his girlfriend and is the hero by the end still. Doesn't regret it. Okay. Doesn't apologize. There's no, I fucked up, I'm sorry, nothing. He just goes on like nothing happened.
Well, so first of all, and I know sometimes the movie frames it this way, but he's not the protagonist. Pink is not the protagonist of this movie. He's not the main character. Mitch is. Mitch is the protagonist of the movie. Most of the movie is framed around his point of view of almost everything. If anything, if you have to really to nail it down, if we're going to use that framework, Mitch is Luke, Pink is Han.
Yeah, that's fair.
You like him because he's cooler.
He's the nice
older.
one.
He's the one who's kind of. He's literally the one providing the whole stranger in a strange land move for Mitch. Mitch is the one who doesn't understand the life of high school, and he's kind of leading him through it.
He's also the kind one that's not a complete, jackass, except when he is.
Exactly. Yeah, so does he do the things that you just talked about? Well, first of all, I don't necessarily think he throws his future away. I think that's what his football coach wants him to believe. I think he thinks that that's the greatest thing that's ever going to happen to him. And I love that part of his he doesn't really grow in the sense that he doesn't go from I'm going to sign it to I'm not going to sign it. He says from the get-go, I'm not going to do it. So most of his journey is not I'm going to become different in that regard. It's trying to the metaphor is great. It's like he's trying to cross the football field and just shove people away who are constantly trying to get him to do that or not do it or tell him what to do. He ends up making the decision himself, and I do love that.
I did too. That was one of my favorite parts, is that he sticks up for himself and whatnot. Now, do I think he has much of a future hanging out with a genuine pedophile? No, but that's just my opinion.
This is where one of those movies where no matter how much you like or don't like it, the epilogue is going to be real interesting to talk about. This is tailor-made for this show.
There's a lot of other people in this film too that deserve a bit of recognition. Parker Posey, I love Parker Posey.
Yes.
She's another character in this movie that's kind of antagonistic in a way, but not really. She's just kind of doing the thing that they do. She also there's no. She just at the end of the movie, she's where she was at the beginning. She's a very static character who exists to kind of torment people and never whatever. Oh god, there's simply too many people in this film. Ben Affleck as
Affleck is the big one.
Which this is one of his first roles too, right? I know he was in Buffy the Vampire Slayer and he was in Teen Wolf, but I don't remember.
Yeah, but this is among his earliest. Yes,
and he's good. He's good even at this point. He's a very unlikable person. I can see why Kevin Smith picked him for the role he did in Mallrats. He's good at it.
Yeah. And the best part is from the get-go, nobody really likes him. I love that there's not some big change of he's the guy who leads them, and eventually they realize that he's a dick. No, they always knew
he was a dick, right? Right.
Yeah, they're like, did you really fail classes just so you can antagonize freshmen again? You really want to be a second-year senior?
I think
you can come back and do this shit. Come on, man.
He's the one that is by far the biggest loser in the movie, because when your whole joy in life is tormenting kids, fuck.
Yes.
I thought he got off kind of easy, but I'm glad he didn't come back at the end of the film and just beat them all up or something. There's a ton of other people in this movie that I'm never going to remember everybody. Milla Jovovich, obviously. And we talked about this before the show, because Milla Jovovich is on she's on the box art right now, the poster down here on the stream.
Yeah. The poster's a very weird collection of people. Who they chose to be on the poster is a real choice.
Two of them I kind of get. The two on the right, the stoner is kind of a classic character. Milla Jovovich is a real pick, though, because it's not like she was the hot actress at the time. She was relatively unknown. It's not like she was and I'm not trying to be offensive or I'm not trying to judge people, but it's not like she's the smoke show or whatever, because you've also got Joey Lauren Adams, you got Parker Posey. You have a lot of women in this movie that are super attractive. She doesn't have a very memorable part. She doesn't do anything very memorable. And they put her on all the posters. No, and it's very confusing.
What's his name? Perkins? She's like Perkins' girlfriend. Pickford.
Yes,
Pickford. I never that guy's last name. She's Pickford's girlfriend, and that's her entire role.
That's why, I'm glad you mentioned that. We have it in the chat. Despite being featured, or I'm sorry, in the trivia, despite being featured on posters, most of her scenes were cut from the film, leaving her with only 2 minutes of screen time. She became so upset about this, she decided to take a break from acting and focus on her music career instead, only returning to acting after being cast in The Fifth Element. And she's done okay for herself, I think. The reason that her scenes were cut is because most of her scenes involved the guy that played Pickford. And his scenes got cut because he was more of a main character originally, but apparently he feuded and fought with the other cast so badly that the director cut his scenes. Apparently at one point what is his name? Linklater had to separate him and Jason London because they got in a full-blown fist fight. And so he could tell that this guy was not going to work in this film, and so Milla Jovovich was just an unfortunate casualty.
You know what's weird about that is that so Pickford is still fairly prevalent throughout the movie, even up to the party. He's at the other party at the Moon Tower, but he's not like as prevalent.
He's very much a secondary character.
I wonder. Yeah, and I wonder if some of what you're talking about also changed the structure of the movie, because ultimately I think it kind of works.
I do too.
If the movie is about a house party, like
I've seen it a billion times.
Fucking high school movie is about a house party. Pretty in Pink's about a house party.
House Party is about a house party.
Right. Can't Hardly Wait. Like all of these movies are about those kinds of things. And there's lots of good ones and there's lots of not so good ones. But this movie is trying to do something so kind of drastically different that if it just becomes another house party, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
I kind of love that we get the classic scene of the house party gets thwarted, but this movie goes, okay, what happens after that? Because people don't just go, well, shit, I guess we'll go home and study. Like, they're going to go do something else.
I love all the scenes where they show up at the door with bongs and they're knocking and the dad keeps opening it up and they just take off running every time. That's very funny to me.
Giggling.
That's very funny to me.
That's
yeah.
The shot of him in the foreground standing there, like looking off from the camera with his hands on the hips going, go ahead and start unpacking. We're not going anywhere. Pickford's in the background just raging at the fucking door. That scene is fucking hilarious.
Probably when he got into a fist fight with Jason London. I don't know.
Yeah.
and Mike Goldberg's in this movie. Oh God, there's too many. I'm never gonna remember all of them. Adam Goldberg, yeah, not Bill Goldberg. That's a wrestler, and that's not even who I said.
He said Mike Goldberg. For the record, by the way, initially I thought this. I'm sorry, I thought this was Eli Roth. I said a couple times, I was like, is that fucking Eli Roth? Because I can
see that. He's kind of looks similar now.
Well, he plays the Bear Jew in
Inglourious Basterds,
and they have similar looks. But what I was actually remembering Adam Goldberg from is, of all things, his fucking role on Friends. He's Chandler's unhinged roommate when Joey moves out. Like, he gets really, like manically upset and then calms down. They're pretty sure he's a serial killer. It's very funny. It's silly.
Now you got me thinking, because I was about to say what I know him from, and then I went, but do I? And I got to check it real quick.
Is that Eli Roth instead?
Well, one, he is the Hebrew Hammer. I forgot about that.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I saw someone talk about the most traumatic death they've ever seen in a movie before. And he is mine. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't think so.
Saving Private Ryan. There's a part, he's in it.
I've never seen it.
I've
never seen it.
I'm going to tell you this and you'll forget until you watch it and go, oh, shit.
Fine. Yeah, I'll forget.
So he's in it. He's in the movie, and I forget the exacts of it, but they're like scouting out this room or whatever. This German attacks them, and he's with somebody, and the other guy kind of walks out of the room. So the German, they get into a fight. He eventually gets Goldberg down on the ground. They fight over like the knife, and the guy's like yelling for his friend. But his friend is so traumatized by everything that he just sits outside the room and doesn't do anything. He just freaks out. And it's just this slow move of him slowly pushing the knife into him and killing him. It's always haunted me. That's one of the worst deaths I've ever seen. It's just it's slow. Like if you ever watch movies, 9 times out of 10, a death scene is fast. whether it's they're getting their head crushed or shot or whatever, it's fast. It's the slow deaths that stick with you, you know?
Yeah, because it's a rating thing you got to worry about.
Right.
The MPAA will come after your ass if you show too much of it. So, yeah.
Yeah,
cool.
Expertly done. Anyway, it's a great cast. We got to skip past it. We'll be here forever. Runtime, 102 minutes, which is pretty good. It's pretty good. Budget versus box office, $6 million versus $8 million. Critical reception, 94% critical rating, 94% on Rotten Tomatoes, and an 82 out of 100 on Metacritic, which is universal acclaim. There's no cinema score, but 3 out of 4 stars from Roger Ebert, who said, quote, the film is art crossed with anthropology. Its real inspiration, I think, is to depict some high school kids from the 70s with such unblinking attention that we will realize how romanticized most movie teenagers are. Well, you said it all there. What's the film about? It's the last day of high school, or it's the last day of school, and it's just a day in the life of like 50 people that all ends at a party, and everyone gets laid. So here's all that.
Many, not all, but many, yes.
Not Ben Affleck. He wasn't even with a hooker that day.
No, because he got paint dumped on him, and he got pissy about it.
And he uttered our only homophobic slur. We were so close to getting an old school movie with that one. Damn you, Affleck.
At least to be fair, okay. To be fair, this was made in '93, and yes, they could have pulled that out at '93, but this is absolutely happening because it was taking place in the '70s, and it happens when he gets like the most
super
mad he ever is in the whole fucking movie.
Well,
exactly. So at least like it's not justified to ever say that. Don't get me wrong, but for the movie's purpose to use it, at least you get why it's happening.
I'm not taking him to task for it at this point. We've established, one, that this was a thing that they said in movies back in this time period, and two, this is a thing people said. You want movies to reflect reality, then you have to reflect reality. It may be uncomfortable.
And that's this whole movie.
That's what it is.
This movie's entire point is reflecting. I mean, this thing is literally just a little mirror. It's a little slice of life period piece from the 70s. So I know we were kind of alluding to some of this earlier, and I think it's probably the most important thing to talk about with this movie. The plot is almost non-existent. I mean, there is a plot, and characters have storylines. Yeah. But there's not really like a central, this is what's going to happen. I would still argue all day long Mitch is the protagonist. He's the main character. There are a few protagonists, but he's the main character. But his journey is really kind of loose. It starts really defined. I don't want to get fucking paddled when I leave school today by these asshole seniors. But then that gets resolved like a third of the way into the movie.
Yeah.
It happens. It's
and he
done.
befriends most of them.
And in the wake of that, right, a new story comes up. Well, at the very least, he befriends one of them, and now he's kind of cool with the rest of them. And so it's a new story of him basically just being led through this new world by this other character who then kind of becomes a pseudo protagonist. And multiple other characters have different things going on. I got to tell you, the first time they show Adam Goldberg and I think it's Anthony Rapp, the guy who plays the other guy. Yeah, I forget their character names, but the first time that they show them, and I think it's London, walks up and goes, "Well, Woodward and Bernstein, what are we up to tonight?" I was like, that's a great fucking connection for them. That's exactly who those guys are. They feel precisely like that. They're not really comic relief, but every single time we cut to those characters, I go, yes, this is the perfect time to cut to them. I need to know what the two soft-spoken nerd and the two outraged, like, Rage Against the Machine guy and the girl who's kind of over it, but she's part of the group. What do they think about everything that's happening right now? Because they're the ones I want to know about. And it's great. I love that.
And she ends up hooking up with Matthew McConaughey in the end, or at least going to.
Well, yeah, I was going to say the whole time she's like, I think he's cute, but also I'm pretty sure she's a senior. So at least like technically there's, some good. It's fine. It's mostly fine. It's not okay, but it's mostly fine.
Well, they don't actually ever say how old Matthew McConaughey is. He could be 25 in this movie. He could be 19.
That's true.
That's not. That's
out of high school, he's got a job,
right?
Whatever. No, again, yeah. I feel like we need to put a blanket statement on. None of that is okay in real life,
right?
And this is a period piece. I forgot about this, but you and I were talking about this a while back ago. I had completely forgotten that the drinking age in the United States changed in the 80s. It changed literally right before I was born in 84. So as Sarah and I were watching this together, and she's seen this movie 10 times as many times as I have. We were talking about the alcohol use, and it was right around the time they were in the Emporium, and I went, well, I mean, it was legal for some of these guys at that time. She's like, what? And sure enough, I was able to pause it right on. There's a sign in the background that says, no alcohol may be consumed by persons under 18.
Mm-hmm. So seniors can drink.
And I was like, yeah. 84. I was going to say, look it up. In 84, that was when it started changing. And even then, it was a federal mandate to try to make states do it. It wasn't a federal law. So technically, a lot of what's happening here, again, not unrealistic. Number one, I know my dad was like, yep, this is what it was like living through it. And number two, if it's a little jarring to see freshmen walking around drinking beers, but you're like, well, think about it now. If the legal age is 21 and kids in high school were getting it, if the legal age was in high school, kids in middle school were getting it. It's happening.
There's a lot of uncomfortable things that happen with the freshmen in this film. Putting them through the car wash and all the young girls getting soaking wet in their clothes, having to get down on their knees, propose, and tell them the guys they'll do anything they want. Like, there was a lot that I went, boy, you couldn't make this movie nowadays. Give a goddamn.
It's all hazing shit. I mean, oh yeah, you could. It's all hazing shit, and like nowadays, of course, we attribute that to at most fraternities. That's or sororities. That's a college thing. But again, it's that sliding scale of when this stuff was happening and what was going on. I mean, my dad told me outright he got chased by fucking seniors, and he chased a bunch of freshmen as a senior. It was a rite of passage. It was a ritual. It was like a thing that they did.
I missed out on it. We didn't.
Well,
they
again,
chased people
20
with
years
guns.
later, of course, we missed out on it.
Yeah. the seniors in my class, they had weapons, so I avoided getting, and not paddles.
It was a little more lean on me and a little less.
The first day of school is that scene where he walks in and all the cocaine and shit. It sounds like Zach's seen this movie. I don't know why Zach's not in here talking about it with us.
Yeah, he's quoting it quite a bit.
Yeah, that's a call.
Probably because he didn't watch it today.
That's a call to Kyrgyz if he wants to pop in at any point and join us. I really didn't know what to think of this movie for a majority of it, because I kept thinking this is the most pointless movie I think I've seen in a long time. Because you're right, the plot is so loose, but I think halfway through it I started to change my brain a little bit and go, well, that's not really the point of the point. This is not a movie with a message. Sometimes you can have films that are done professionally that don't hit all of the standard, criteria of what makes a movie, and it can still be good.
Yeah.
That's not to say there were things in this movie I didn't like. I would have liked, I don't know, man. I'm still trying to think of what I think of this movie. I swear I watched it. I watched every second of it. It's just...
Well, okay. You and I often talk about, or at least I do it because this is the way that I think often when I'm looking at a movie that I've never seen before, especially, and I find that I don't really like what I'm watching. I start to analyze it the way I would analyze literature. So I start getting into the theming discussion, right? I try to figure out what's the point of this story, what's going on, what are these character journeys, are they dynamic, are they static, et cetera, et cetera. I'm glad I didn't watch this movie for the first time with that mentality, because I also think I wouldn't like it if that was the case.
You might have analyzed it quite a bit.
Yeah, it is such, again, the plot is very loose. It's there is a plot, and the characters do sometimes not necessarily grow or change, but they learn things, or they go through experiences at the very least, and they seem to have some resolution on the other side of that. It just doesn't have a big centralized this is what it's like. I looked it up a little bit ago out of curiosity, and people were trying to define, well, the message of the movie is about the both importance and unimportance of youth, about how we try to make high school the best years of our lives, but really the reality of it is that it's really just other moments. And I'm like, yeah, but the movie doesn't really say that.
Yeah, I think they were stretching
that, but it doesn't
in some ways.
Say that. Yeah, I think you're really trying to ascribe something to it that isn't that at that point. When we were talking about it, you and I, or you brought up the sunny bit of, sometimes things just end.
Yeah.
And I thought, normally that would irritate me. And yet, yeah, that's exactly how this sort of works. We're told almost from the get-go, this is going to be basically one day / one night in the life of these people. And it's a big day for a lot of them, because it is the last day of school, as they leave, from one space to another, or they become like the kings of the school, the queens of the school. They're going to be the seniors at a time when that's super important. So what does that transitional period look like? And it turns out pretty fucking normal. I mean, there's some bizarre shit that happens to some people. Like O'Banion gets, paint dumped on him. Guy's windshield gets busted out. Somebody gets a gun pulled on him. That's some wild shit.
2 people.
Yeah, but those are. Well, you're right. Did you hear that bitch pulled a shotgun on me?
That was a little extreme. I thought that was an extreme response.
I thought honestly, the pistol was a little more extreme than the shotgun. The shotgun was funny to me because I just assumed there would be a moment where she like racks it and there's clearly nothing in it. She's just, scaring him. But the pistol thing was wild as hell. I had honestly forgotten a lot of that happened, and then it's kind of never referenced again. But this is a movie that I think is very much trying to be, I hate to overuse the term slice of life. Slice of life to me implies more that you're trying to take a normal thing and make it seem like the craziest thing. Oh man, this is, one day in the life, but here's all the crazy shit. That's not really necessarily this, because a lot of the crazy shit is never referenced again. And how realistic is that? How many times are you reminded of some wild ass thing that happened to you and you go, oh my God, that did happen. And nothing ever came of that. It was just a thing that happened and then we moved on.
Some of us.
This to me, if Seinfeld is a show about nothing, in a lot of ways, this is a movie about nothing. And I've always really kind of liked that when it's done in a way that's interesting and fun to watch. And that for me is this. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm almost reviewing it, so I'm going to slow down. But to me, it falls under a very similar banner in a lot of ways. Though I'll mention the movie Waiting. You've never seen Waiting either, have you?
No.
Ryan Reynolds and all that.
I'm aware of it.
They're similar in that regard. Yeah, they're similar in that regard. But Waiting still has a really strong central message, which this movie does a little bit too, of the like, don't settle for the bullshit. Like, there's got to be more out there for you than just this. Most of the characters are on kind of that same track. They hate their jobs. They don't want to be there, and they want to do something new. This movie at least kind of spreads that around a little bit. Some of them are trying to figure out where they are. Some of them already know where they are and are just existing while other people are going through that process. So they do it in different ways. I mean, Waiting's a comedy. This has got some comedic elements, but I would argue that this is more of a lifestyle piece than like a comedy, basically. So
let's get.
I talked a lot. I'm sorry. It just kind of started flowing out of me.
I don't have a lot to say. Like I'll elaborate more in my review. Because I mean, to me, it feels like this movie at best, when you're discussing it, is a good opportunity to talk about some of your favorite scenes and quotes. But it's really hard to analyze a movie that does very little self-analysis, that does very little, like you said, in terms of a structured thing that we're heading toward, or a 1, 2, 3 act type scenario where this character is going through this and wants to get from point A to point C. It very much just feels like a random set of occurrences with like 50 characters. You bounce back between them. They say some funny lines. They do some funny things. And the whole goal is the party, I guess, or it's just the night. There's no like super drama of, well, something terrible is going to happen unless we fix problem. There's no, well, my car is broken and I need $500 to get it fixed or my parents are going to kill me. So in one day we're going to raise the money or anything like that. It's very much just, you want to go party? Sure. At the party. Hey, you want to go to a different party? And sure. Do you want to go do this? Yeah, sure. It's like hanging out with people. There's no point to it. But at the same time, that is the point. And so I'm racking, my brain is just like flipping over itself going, say something witty, say something like really, really intelligent. The soundtrack is amazing. Like so many films.
Oh man.
Especially now, if, oh shit, Zach is here. Hey, Zach. Ladies and gentlemen, Zach Curtis. Hello. So many films, especially now. And I guess they're just doing the same thing this movie did. I don't know why this movie feels so much more genuine, though. You know what I'm talking about. Like a movie that is a period piece and it's set in like the 80s or the 70s or whatever, and they hit you with the music constantly. And it just kind of feels like they're going, hey, look how period right we are by the music. You can, of course.
I was going to say, can I make an argument why that's the case? So number one, this comes from our trivia. I'm glad you brought it up. About a sixth of that $6 million budget, so about $1 million, was spent just getting the rights to the songs for this movie. Like literally $1 million at that time too, in '93, which was quite a bit. I think the reason it works better here Well, I have two reasons. Number one, the music's just generally better.
It's good
And
music.
that's always going to be a subjective thing, but God, I love 70s pop rock. Like, it's so fucking good. Everything that gets played in here, from fucking Alice Cooper to like even Ted Nugent, who I can't stand fucking Ted Nugent, but boy, Stranglehold really fits that scene that it plays in very well.
Yeah, it was very well done.
The other thing is, and this is where I think Linklater does something really smart, and I'm assuming it was done intentionally. Other movies that do that kind of thing use those songs as needle drops, is what they call it, right? Oh, we're gonna drop the needle on this like super well-known song. It's gonna feel like it fits the scene, and you're gonna get really excited about it because of what's happening. I love Guardians of the Galaxy, but Guardians does this kind of thing, right? They use songs that would be on whatever music device Peter Quill has at that point in time, and it does that really well too. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a reason those soundtracks have won a shit ton of awards. This movie, though, never directly says, here's what's happening in the scene. Occasionally, you'll find out that the song we're hearing is also playing on like the radio of a car or whatever. But the songs all feel like they're part of what the characters are going through, not lyrically or not like it's built into the scene. But every time that we're showing people literally just driving around in a car and we're hearing songs that tie into that, we're showing people leaving school and we hear songs that tie into that. That's why it feels more genuine, because it feels like it's an experience for the characters and not here's something fun for you, the audience, to enjoy, which you know is happening on screen. It feels more organic. That's what I think is the case.
Yeah, I'll buy that. I agree with that. Every time they would drive around in their little car and take off or whatever, and they'd start playing music, I was like, that's good jams, man. Other movies, when they do something like that, I was like, yes, you're in the 90s. We get it. Oh,
Right.
you're playing Belle Biv DeVoe? Wow, how topical for the time period.
Oh, here comes No Doubt. Are you really just a girl? Well, how interesting.
Hey, let's get to the reviews now that Zach's here, and he'll join in and he'll give his review as well. On this,
And then Zach will have a review, and you'll have a review.
kind of.
I'll have a review.
I don't know what to.
I don't know what to tell you about Lonnie Donegan.
I don't know what to tell you about Tanner. He's getting Power Rangers ready. On this very show, we follow a 5-point system, and that system relates as such: 2 thumbs up, you love it; 1 up, you like it; 1 up, 1 down, you're neutral or indifferent; 1 day, you'll explain yourself; 1 down, you don't like it; and 2 down, you hate it. Still, Alien Resurrection, man, still the worst movie we've watched in 2026. That blows my mind as a whole, as a collective.
That was in February.
Yes,
In February.
which just shows you that we've had a pretty good year up and down. Now, we haven't agreed on every movie, obviously, but at least one of us have at least tolerated the film, because there were a couple that we were just kind of like on, but nothing that we've outright despised.
Right.
And then a double up I still think is Avengers. Nothing this month so far. And
that's true.
But will Dazed and Confused change that? No. But
No.
let's start with Zach. Zach, you're a very special guest. Even we didn't know about it. What do you think about Dazed and Confused?
Personally love this movie. I've been watching this movie since high school. I put it in the chat earlier. It was always a thing that it kind of annoyed me at some point, but I also saw it, so it was just
The
one
stoner,
of
right?
those stereotypical things. Yeah, Slater, especially because what he's doing at the beginning of the last day of school is he's dropping acid, which I did. So it very much just kind of fit. But yeah, no, I love this movie. This is one of those movies that like I watched it without my mom showing it to me, but if I was watching it and she came in the room or something, she would sit down and watch it. And I think it was, because she also grew up during the time period and, all that good stuff. But as a school movie, as just kind of the way I always took it was just those kids are just trying to survive the last day of school because they know the seniors are coming, especially when the seniors show up and just have a blowhorn. And then the teacher's like, nah, you ain't getting out. You have to take it. Like, even the teacher's in on it, in a way. He's also probably just like, no, we all have to stay here. But no, I'm gonna give it 2. I really like the movie. The music's great. Yeah. So there you go.
Easy, champ.
Whoa.
Hunter, is it you or me? I forget.
I honestly don't know. Does somebody remember who gave the
Does
review first
anybody
last week?
remember? What was last week?
Because I think you and I gave it was
Lean on me?
I think we gave the same review, didn't we? Didn't we both land on one?
I landed on one. It's me. Michaela said it's me.
One up.
Okay.
So you're up. Okay.
Yeah, I trust Michaela, and Michaela we trust.
Yeah. Same.
I'm also creating the image for tonight's show, and I thought it would be very funny. So the way I normally do it, if you ever go to our podcast site, is I'll do the poster in the middle, and then I'll have two actors from the film on each side. And I thought it was quite humorous. And then I made both pictures Milla Jovovich because, she's everywhere else in this goddamn thing. Hey, so it's a weird one for me, man. Every part of me that I'm cognizant of wants to hate this movie. There's so many things in this movie that I don't like on paper. There's a lot of drugs. There's not a lot of sex talk, but there's a good amount of sex talk. I messaged Hunter. I said, turns out I was the only one growing up that didn't just talk about sex all the time. I never talked about it. And now I'm starting to wonder what was wrong with me, because every movie we've watched, girls have been the only thing they've cared about, and drugs. And I guess I missed out on that, because when I was younger, I wanted.
It's the 70s, man. I think that's thing.
It's not just the 70s. Every fucking coming of age movie, I feel like we walked. Yes. I'm just saying, and this isn't a criticism of this film. This is a criticism of my life.
And I said that to you at the time. The other ones, I think that's a movie and TV thing, because the main impetus for most characters in a lot of stories is sex, money, power, fame, some version of that. I don't think that's what's happening here. I think this is just it's the period.
But leave the children alone. Matthew McConaughey. There's all right. There's all the weird stuff with the freshmen. It's a little misogynistic, a little bit, but not really. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's super misogynistic. It's just something about putting a bunch of, and they're very clearly like actual teen girls for the most part, putting a bunch of them on trucks and taking them through the car wash. There was something about that bothered me a little bit, because I just thought, I don't know. It's a little too, I don't know. I won't talk about that part. But yeah, I want to dislike this movie more than I do, because even though I thought it was fairly pointless, like when I left, I was like, I learned nothing. I felt nothing. I gained nothing from watching it. There's no new perspective. It did not make me question something, like, what are we doing here? But at the same time, I would be lying if I said it wasn't a like really charming picture into what life is like for some people at some time period. Not my time period or my life, but I mean, it's done in such a professional way. It's sincere. It never goes over the top in anything that it does. So there is sex talk, but we're not talking about like Kevin Smith sex talk. They're not they're not getting incredibly vulgar. Right. It's just a little bit of sex talk. Did you touch her? Are you going to go bang that chick? It's stuff that people would say, and it never becomes gratuitous. None of the stuff with the freshmen become gratuitous. It's a little uncomfortable in parts, but it's never gratuitous. There's no nudity, which is shocking. I actually read that, I don't know if you knew this, but I don't know who released the film. Whoever released the film, not the director, but whoever released the film, they pressured him.
Universal movie. Was
it Universal? Well, they pressured him like crazy to put more nudity in. They said, if we're gonna have an R rating, why aren't we having nudity? And apparently, like some big guy at Universal personally told him, I need you to get some tits in there. And so they filmed a scene where some of the characters are watching, like this woman flashes them at some point, and he put it in the movie, and then when they okayed the movie, he took it back out. So I thought that was pretty funny. Yeah.
I said it was Universal. I assumed they were the distributor because their logo was up at the beginning, but Gramercy Pictures, evidently. I wonder if they were eventually... Yeah, they were bought up by Universal. So it was originally distributed by Gramercy, and then it wouldn't have been their production company. It would have been the distributor that would have been coming to them saying, hey, you got to do this, because Linklater was one of the producers.
Right.
So almost definitely they were the ones who said it. And yeah, because they weren't anywhere near as big, and that's why they were eventually swallowed up by Universal, it probably was that kind of thing where Linklater was already kind of getting to be a big deal because of Slackers, and he was like, okay, cool.
We'll do it.
And he put it in. And as soon as they weren't looking, like, okay, get that shit back out of here.
Yeah, which I really like. I really like. That's fun.
Yeah.
I thought the performance, and what really sold me on the film are the performances. Because if you would have had bad actors doing a bad job in this film, this movie would have fucking sucked. This would have been absolutely terrible. You have to have charming, likable people. And they did a great job with the cast. Even Milla Jovovich, we've joked about on this show a couple of times, this particular show, because of her being on the posters and not ever doing anything in the movie. But the few scenes she's in, I thought she was super cute and charming. Like, she won me over. The part where she's singing and they talk about how it's about aliens, that's a good scene. I love Mitch's journey from, scared kid to just fucking going with it, man, because that's every kid's dream, right? To get swept up with the cool kids and to become part of the group. At no point did I find it to be too much. There are so many of these films. They need nice white. No, I did not say that. I feel like these films specifically are the ones I disagree with you guys the most. I feel like the school movies are the ones that I'm the most
Except for last year. Well, and Breakfast Club, but otherwise.
The Breakfast Club was a huge one, though, because you guys love Breakfast Club, and I hated it. I seem to always be on the opposite side here. So I'm not giving it 2 thumbs up because there were still things that I didn't enjoy as much, or I wish were better. I wish there was a little bit more of a narrative. I wish there were a little bit more, not consistency, but I would have liked to seen more happen with some of the characters that they kind of build up. And I'm not faulting them for the way they build them up. Like Parker Posey, she's very clearly portrayed as kind of a big deal in this group. She threatens the girl, I'm going to make your life hell. And unlike, Ben Affleck, nothing happens to her. She drunkenly walks away and everything's fine. I did like college and hate high school. That is absolutely true. But it never bothered me. It never bothered me to the point that I said, oh, I don't like this movie. And I wanted to. I really did. I wanted to dislike this movie. I'm looking at the poster and I want to dislike it. But I didn't dislike it. I actually had a pretty good time watching it. I'm going to go with 1 thumb up. I would recommend it. This one's from the heart. This isn't like a Wayne's World. Oh, I kind of feel pressured to give it 2 when my heart says 1. No, this is a 1 for me. I feel like you're both going to go 2, and that's fine. I like this movie. I thought it was a fun movie. I didn't regret watching it, and we'll just leave it at that. It's a good time. It's a good time. Roger Ebert, I feel once again definitely nailed it on the head with what he said. And I think 3 out of 4 is a fair score for me. So that's it. Yeah. It's 1 thumb up for me.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. I'm going to go 2. I honestly had forgotten how much I really like this movie. It's not something I rewatch very often. It never makes any lists of mine as like, these are movies that I love. And frankly, I had forgotten a lot of what happens pretty much in the second half of the movie. I feel like a lot of times when I've seen this movie, I've seen the first half, and then I kind of just, for whatever reason, I end up doing something else, and I don't see the rest of it. So basically, from the Emporium on, I was like, this is a whole new experience for me for the first time in many, many years. I've kind of forgotten what happens here. But I ended up liking that stuff as much as, if not even more than, what happens before it. If there's one thing, and I was going to come into this and do it, but I didn't want it to come across bad, because I know you like when we do like full-blown Siskel and Ebert. I was going to hit you with the I couldn't disagree more. Only with the narrative part. I know this goes against everything I normally talk about, but I was so glad by the time this movie was over that there wasn't a stronger narrative, because I feel like a stronger narrative in this movie ends up being exactly what you were talking about earlier. We got to raise $500 to fix the football field, or we're in trouble now, or like, which college am I going to go to? And I'm going to spend all night talking about that one thing and that one thing only. Again, it's been done a million times elsewhere to better and worse degrees, and in ways that I wouldn't care about here. This movie, I think the best way I can describe it is that it knows what it wants to be. And by that, I mean Richard Linklater knows what he wants it to be. It is, again, this little bit of these people's lives, what happens to them in that moment. None of it has to be too crazy or overblown. There's some big ups, there's some big downs, but never too much in the way of big downs, right? Like, really, when anything gets too bad, the worst of it is, man gets his ass paddled for a hot minute, and then suddenly he gets to go be with the cool kids. That's like the worst thing that happens to most people in this movie.
No, I think the worst thing that happens is when Adam Goldberg gets his ass kicked, because there's just no coming back from that.
You know what, though? You know what? Look. Again, I love those characters, and he kind of earns that shit, and that's what's very funny about it to me. Those guys end up basically being, in a way, the comedic relief, or he especially, because he shows up, the guy's an asshole to him, he doesn't stand up for himself, he spends all night raging about how he should have stood up for himself, then he goes and does it, and he gets the shit kicked out of him, and even afterward, he's like, oh, but I got some good hits in, though, didn't I? And like, no, you really didn't. Yeah, in a couple of years, no one will remember this.
It's another one of those things that in a worse movie with a less talented director, with a less talented cast, they would have changed the plot to where he would have beat the guy up, and he would have been the hero. They would have put him on his shoulders, and wow, I didn't know you could fight, So they got his ass kicked. I think it's better.
Yeah, in a lesser, worse movie, what we just talked about is the movie. It's the whole movie. It's not, no one else is important in any way, shape, or form. We follow those three characters around all night long. They have their ups and downs. The one guy ends up with the other girl. The one guy gets into a fight. Probably he ends up with the girl instead of her going with McConaughey. A lesser movie does all the same, most obvious
the safe things.
And don't get me wrong. Right. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to validate too much of we need to be different, and that's how we do interesting stuff. I think all too often, especially in wrestling's the worst example now, when they think that we know the answers, they change the questions, and then it turns out worse than it would have been if they just gone with the thing that we guessed.
Yeah.
But in this specific case, it's not like anything too drastically different happens. We just don't go, like you said, with the most Hollywood ending of, he becomes the big hero and he knocks him out. That's Can't Hardly Wait. And I love Can't Hardly Wait for a very different reason, right? Mm-hmm. It kind of does the same thing of following a series of other characters, last night of high school, what happens that night into the next morning. But that's a pretty specific comedy. That movie wants to be a comedy with some small drama elements. This movie doesn't want to be pigeonholed into any of those elements, and I kind of respect it for that. So by the time that it ends with just a series of characters driving off to get Aerosmith tickets, and the one guy's mom going, hey, don't ever fucking do it again, I gave you one and that's it. Also, who was that girl? I'm not talking about it, Mom. Headphones on. I kind of love that. Again, it just sort of ends, because it only ends for us. Right, that's one of the best things about it is these characters aren't done. It's going to continue on from there. Their lives continue on.
There's one thing that bothered me about this. That one character action that I'm still trying to understand, and maybe you can help me on it, because his sister, Mitch's sister, Julie, I think was her name. Yeah. She's a very level-headed girl through the whole movie. She seems like she's pretty intelligent. I cannot understand for the life of me why she basically plotted to get him out in the woods to make out with him, and then just go, well, don't you have a girlfriend? Like, that part confused me.
She was testing him. If he chose to say, like, yeah, I do, but it doesn't matter, great, then she'll go with him, and it is what it is. They're also all drinking, and they're also all high. So that's going to affect a whole bunch of choices there, to be fair.
I don't know what you're talking about on that, so we'll just move past it.
Yeah, that's going to affect a bunch of choices there. But I think, frankly, she's not testing him for her friend. I think basically she was just testing the boundaries. Like, if I do this and you say, yeah, but who cares? Or, yeah, I think that's over because they kind of seem to have been on the outs. I think that's sort of what was happening there. And when he made the right move to go, yes, I do, then she backed away.
And then he went back to his girlfriend, and they just carried on like nothing. And like, again, is that realistic?
Again,
sure.
It was the 70s. In the 70s, yeah, it kind of.
What do you mean in the 70s? It is now.
Well, I mean, it was. Let me say, it was more acceptable. We were coming right off the 60s, off of like straight up free love. I mean,
I think there's just some dumb people out there. But I
don't disagree.
That's just not for me to get on my soapbox here. Let's head to the epilogue of the whole thing, and let's talk about the ending and then what happens afterwards. So in the end, They go on they smoke a joint on the 50-yard line of the football field. It's kind of a final thing. The police arrive, and upon recognizing Pink and Don, call Coach Conrad, their football coach. He lectures Pink about hanging out with losers and insists he signed the pledge, which on the one hand, again, being a grown-ass man and thinking, okay, if you have an opportunity to, like, you know, play ball, go to college, maybe get a really good education, do something with it other than just play ball. A lot of people do that. They'll use football or sports as a way to get in. Or do you want to go hang out with the older guy who's, you know, picking up younger women? Looking back on it now.
Hang on, though.
Yes.
Because no one ever says anything about him going to college on it unless I'm misremembering something. Conrad never makes a big deal about you should do this and go to college. All he gives a shit about is his upcoming football season. And I think that's what the idea is, that's what Pink recognizes. I don't need him. He needs me. So he basically says as much. I'll play ball, but I'm not signing this shit.
And he, I assume, probably would play ball. I mean, when the coach does need him that bad, I can't imagine him, you know. But it's just... Well, fuck, now I forgot what I was going to say. What the hell was I going to say?
Sorry.
Oh, I was going to say...
You were talking about his future.
Yeah, and looking back on it now, as someone watching a film as an adult, I would say that the Jason London character probably made the most mistakes in this movie in terms of, like, things that they'll regret in the future, probably. But putting your but putting yourself in the shoes and that time period might feel, I don't know where I was going with this at this point. Between that and the cat people, I don't know. Well, just move, just fucking move past it.
Wow.
Pink says
I think go ahead.
I was gonna go forward. Pink says that he might play football, but he will not sign it. Leaves with Wooderson and Slater to travel to Houston to obtain tickets to an Aerosmith concert. Mitch arrives home after sunrise, finds his mother has waited up for him. She decides against punishment, but warns him about coming home late again. Mitch goes to his bedroom, puts on headphones, and listens to Slow Ride by Foghat as Pink, Wooderson, Slater, and Simone travel down a highway to purchase their tickets. Why not put Joey Lauren Adams on the fucking cover? At least she's with that group at the end. Why didn't you put Matthew McConaughey on the cover?
Again, it's a baffling series of decisions about who gets onto the cover of that thing. You're talking about Pink and his decisions there. I think part of the point of his, like, beginning the journey feels really overblown, so I don't want to say it, but part of the point of his, like, story of following him is that while he is something of a nice little bedrock for Mitch, like, he's able to kind of show him the ropes, get him in there, treat him nicely, Pink doesn't have anything fucking figured out either. He's exactly as
you can tell on his face whenever he looks out into the night. Like, I could see it. I could literally see it in his eyes. The deer in the headlights. What am I doing?
Yeah, and that's one of the things I love about it is that he's just Mitch 4 years after the fact. And Mitch is just him 4 years ago, right? Very likely Mitch will be that same guy years later who probably thinks he has it all figured out and thinks that this big decision right now about sign or don't sign or do whatever is the most important thing that'll ever happen to him. And realistically, we objectively from the outside can go, no, man, you're so stupid. Like, not stupid, you're so ignorant. You have no idea about anything that's happening around you. But that's easy for us to say as third person, viewers, as people outside the story.
Well, because the note basically said, don't do drugs and, like, don't fuck up. Pledge to me you're not going to fuck up.
Don't do anything that will jeopardize, your ability to play football.
So on the on the surface of it, it's like, it is a good idea to tell a kid in high school, hey, don't do a lot of drugs and fuck your life up. But the way they present it feels so much like you're signing your life away, like Chris Hansen they tried to do with him.
McCarthyism.
Yeah. With A24.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. I mean, they call it out directly. Goldberg's character actually says that about, they basically hit you with a McCarthy era pledge. Like, you have to pledge to not be a communist and all that. That's exactly what it is. It's all presentation. If it had just been their coach saying, guys, I'm worried about you, please take care of yourselves. Don't fall in with the wrong crowd because, number one, we got a great thing going here. And number two, I don't want you to fuck your lives up. That'd be different. But that's exactly the thing. Realistically, in the real world, that's what happens, right? Unfortunately, at this point in time and with these specific people, this guy says, no, my big concern is my football team, not,
That's why Devin took that paper I told him to sign and he balled it up, threw it in the trash on camera. It's because I was giving him a McCarthy level telling him to do something intelligent. And he was like, "Fuck you! No one tells me what to do, not even my boss at my job that I accept money for."
Then he was crying.
And then he was crying because I made him cry.
Crying.
All right. Well, here's the fun part. What happens at the epilogue? I'd like to talk specifically about Matthew McConaughey's character, if I could.
I believe that you should. The floor is yours. The senator, the representative from Cape Girardeau has the floor.
Oh man. So there was part of me that was like, you have no room to talk because you dated a 19-year-old when you were, older than 19. And on the one hand, I went, yeah, that's true. Who am I to speak? Even though, hindsight is 2020, and looking back on everything, you go, well, maybe those were poor decisions I made. But at the same time, she was a college student who made her own life decisions. She was not a freshman in high school. So I feel like I can speak on this character just a little bit. I'm sure there are people out there that thought that was the coolest shit in the world when this movie came out. In fact, I know there are, because I know people that quote that character specifically and talk about what a cool character he is. And he is cool and charming. The devil always comes at you in an attractive sense. He's never ugly. But that dude, at some point, is going to get one of these girls pregnant. And in the 70s, it was fine. He just had to marry her, probably. I feel like if you were remaking this film, the whole you can't make that film today, that would probably be the one part they'd have to cut out, or they'd have to adapt, because you cannot have the pedophile be charming and likable and a good guy. Like, I think that sends the wrong message. So
well, I mean, look again. I can't stress you enough.
This is not a defense. Yes,
but I would point out that nothing ever actually happens on camera, and it's not even really the most implication you get for any level of like that distinction, like how far him talking about freshman girls, is when he literally asks Mitch what does he say, like what's the crop of freshman girls like this year or whatever, because that's as bad as it gets, really. Well, and look, that line's not great, but I think you would still be able to, or not be able to, but I think they would still include that.
And that's what I love about high school girls. I get older, they stay the same age. Like, it's right, not that could be a vulgar line.
I mean,
yeah, it's not a vulgar line by any sense, but I think that in today's climate, they would probably get some grief for that, especially if they portrayed him. Now, if they portrayed him more as like a Ben Affleck from Mallrats, I think people would go, well, of course, he's a jerk. But trying to portray someone like that as nice, personable, and someone that you'd want to be friends with, I could see at least a group in America getting upset by that.
Yeah, and I'm not disagreeing. And again, can't stress to you enough what he's talking about. Not okay. It also wasn't okay then. Right. Just because it was accepted at the time doesn't mean that it was okay. And obviously, it's pretty gross. But yeah, I just assumed that this conversation was going to go very quickly. At some point in time, he will be arrested. The laws will change. He's not going to make it. Bad things are coming to McConaughey.
I feel like what'll happen is probably not the redhead. I don't remember her name. Cynthia, I think. Not her. It'll be some girl after that. He'll be in his like mid to late 20s. He'll meet some 16-year-old who he just absolutely falls in love with. They'll have a kid. He'll be like 45, 50. His kid will have a friend who's like 17, and he looks at her and he's like, hey. And that's when he gets arrested. Hey, that's when he gets going. He's bounced at that point. As for everybody else, I don't know. Mitch seems like he'll do pretty well. He seemed like a pretty cool kid. I don't know shit enough about the rest of them to tell you what's going to happen to them in life. Most of them just kind of show up, drink a little bit, except Affleck.
Affleck moves to Jersey and becomes the manager of the fashion male at a mall.
Yes. That is perfect. That is perfect for him.
The fashionable male. That's what it was.
Jason London. We never really talked about how much this movie has in common cast-wise with Mallrats. Jason London, Ben Affleck, Joey Lauren Adams. Yeah. Like Kevin Smith saw this movie and said, I want that. I just want to talk about Matthew McConaughey. I'll give you the floor.
Oh, I mean, again, this is very much you've pitched this a couple of times now. The idea that more movies should have John Hughes endings, should have the put a stamp up and tell me what happened to them and where they went. Yeah, McConaughey. I don't care how cool he is. At some point in time, all of this is coming back to bite him in the ass. I really do think Affleck's character just completely has to leave this area, and I do think it's very funny that you could just connect it and say, yeah, he moved to Jersey, he became a whole new dude. I don't entirely disagree about Mitch. Mitch seems like a cool customer to some degree.
He could
but
fall
I
in
also
the wrong
think that
crowd.
if he doesn't no, I don't think that's the thing. I don't think that's the issue. I don't think it's that he's going to start following a different crowd, because even though he does that here, I think it's pretty clear that he has some convictions like, this is a bad idea, I shouldn't do that. I think it's more going to be that 4 years from now, he's not going to be any better or different than he was then. And that's when the whole, like, he's very static isn't going to be, it's not going to fly.
I'm trying to think of one part in the movie where he said, that's not a good idea, I'm not going to do that. Because he hung out with the kids, he threw the bowling ball.
Yeah, but he didn't want to. There's a whole bunch of times where there were things that he ends up doing, but he didn't want to do it. He pushed back on it at least a little bit. He said when they were at the convenience store, I don't think this is a good idea. I don't think I should hang out front. But he did it. He said, do you really think I should throw out the bowling ball? But he did do it.
Right, and that was before he was introduced to marijuana and alcohol. And now with marijuana and alcohol being in his life regularly, I can only assume, I could see that hesitation of, well, should I do this or not? But I'm going to do it anyway. The should I part goes out the window, and maybe he does do something stupid.
Oh, Zach, you hear that? He's on some gateway drugs.
No, I'm just no. All I'm saying.
I'm sorry, it was too good to pass
You
up.
smoke it and become a criminal.
I'm fucking with you. I know that's not what you're saying. I just thought it was too good to pass up.
Zach, how about you?
Yeah,
what do you got?
I've been cut off.
All right, back to Hunter. Took too long.
I definitely agree. McConaughey's probably getting arrested at some point.
That has to happen.
I don't know why. I don't know where.
You know why. You know why.
You know why?
You know why.
Yeah, I didn't mean to say I don't know why. Well, no, not the circumstances.
Once he gets the internet,
it could be like a Dateline thing. Could be some parent finds him. You never know.
I like the idea.
In A24's movie.
Yeah, I like the idea that he just wanders in to catch a predator one night. He's like, "Hey, what's going on?" And they're just like, "Have a seat."
Be a lot cooler if you did.
Oh, you made me some cookies. All right.
He improvised that line, by the way. That all right wasn't in the script. So he even made up his own best line.
Dude, how crazy is it legitimately that in your first movie you create a line that defines you forever?
Yeah.
Because
people who have never seen that movie know the context in which to use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how iconic that line is. All right. Yeah. He still uses it. He's a good man. I like Matthew McConaughey. Hunter, back to you. I'm sorry, I cut you off earlier. And Zach, both of you at the same time.
I'm talking with you. I legitimately, I don't know what else you would do there. I said earlier that I think this movie has kind of an interesting look at an epilogue, but at the same time, I mean, does it? Because if things continue the way that they suggested, again, only a couple of those people are going to have really bizarre like futures, more than likely. The rest of them are kind of just living their lives.
Yeah, they were just kind of there. So some of them
can go to school the next year.
Yeah, I'll say
enjoy the summer.
This is not one of those movies where something absolutely insane happens and you have to go, well, how do they live with themselves after this? This isn't Evil Dead. No, they go to school, they get jobs. I mean, it's pretty bland, honestly. It's just life.
Yeah. Yep.
And then it just kind of just
sort of ends.
It just ends. Yeah. And that's okay. And that's good. You know?
and Mac's a rat. And Dee's got a back brace. And it's good.
That's good. Well, that's going to bring this adventure to a close. That's for sure. But it's not it for us this week, not by a long shot, because tomorrow we'll be back right here playing plays, Power Rangers. It'll be us plus Tanner and Lindsay, and it's good. You know, we'll we'll fight some monsters. We might get a Zord or two. Stay tuned for that. And then on Thursday, of course, after dark, we got some real winners coming up for you. On Friday, we kick off Hot Chocobo Nights 2, Electric Moogaloo, all weekend long for at least another month or so as we head into Twilight. The big news is this weekend, of course, we have PZ85 Pro. You know it, you love it. Our big PLE anniversary is Saturday and Sunday. Big matches. Don't forget about Friday. We're going to have a preview for that. Well, that's just a screen cap of the movie with Zach coming through.
You gotta put the gum at the base, Shannon.
That's this weekend. For now, for us, we're out of here. We'll see you tomorrow for plays. Until then, the balcony is closed. Thank you guys. Next week, I don't know what next week's movie is actually. What is it?
Yeah, you do. Mean Girls.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Never seen it.
Never seen it.
You've never seen it. I've seen it.
I've never
you
seen
and
it.
Lindsay both, which is wild to me.
Did you watch the musical too, or just the original?
No. Well, okay, hang on. We saw the musical at the Fox. We saw the actual stage show.
No, I mean like the movie
don't hesitate
version.
Yeah, well, I'm getting there. I don't hesitate to tell you that we've been to 20 plus stage shows between the Fox and Broadway and such. It's easily the worst one I've ever seen.
Wow.
I did not care for it. And frankly, it really just came down to, I think this was at the time that everyone went, let's make every movie into a musical. I don't think it works. I don't think it works very well as a musical. It felt, unless this was a choice, which I thought was a weird one, unless it was supposed to feel like something you would stage in a high school, because I know there is a high school version of it, but on stage at the Fox, it felt like we were watching a high school production. There were also a lot of really young kids in the audience, and I was like, this is not appropriate for them. Like, this is not okay.
That's why you saw Matthew McConaughey back behind the curtain going,
all right.
And so yeah, after that, I from what I gathered, the movie version of the musical is not very good, and I didn't care for the actual musical, so I went, I'm good. But the movie itself is great. I'm just gonna throw my review out the window right now because it's coming. It's already, I love that movie, unless something has really drastically changed. So
this will be, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, this will be the first film we reviewed starring Tim Meadows in some way.
I think so, because we haven't done like Walk Hard or we certainly haven't done The Ladies Man. Yeah. Tim Meadows hasn't really done a lot of.
Love Tim Meadows. I love Tim Meadows. We're gonna talk about that. That's next week. We're out of here. Balcony's closed. See you guys. Hunter, take us out.
See, Shannon, I call it my every other decade theory. The 50s were boring, but the 60s rocked. The 70s, my God, they obviously suck. So maybe the 80s will be like radical. Man, I figure we'll be in our 20s, and I mean, hey, it can't get any worse.